Hey, listen, I'm gonna try to make this video as short as I can, but it's man, and such a mighty testimony and story. So listen, y'all, I'm in Chatsworth, Georgia. For those of you who don't know, many of you don't know, I work for Premium Distributors. It's a distributing company that that's affiliated with the Unilever, and I'm a territory sales representative. And so while I was doing my routes today, I did some extra work. Now I'm done with work. I'm done. I finished all of my assignments with what I was supposed to do. But I went and did extra today. Um, and I wasn't even going to do it. Mind you, for those of you who don't know, I was planning to do some of my Friday route to chop some of that off because I can get off work early Friday. But I said, let me just go ahead and do Thursday. It's easy. It's right here. Let me just knock it out. So I goes to Chatsworth, Georgia, and on my third stop, I go back to my car, and my key isn't turning in the ignition. So, usually when that happens, you think that your steering wheel is just locked. You got to jerk it to the left or jerk it to the right. But no, my ignition is literally locked. There is a red button blinking on my dashboard. And so I go and I get the book. I try to read it. And it says if the light keeps flashing and it doesn't turn off, you need to call, take your car to the dealership. I said, what? I'm in Chatsworth, trying to go to church, trying to get back. It's 5 o'clock. The sun is going down. Y'all, I'm in Chatsworth. If you don't know what Chatsworth is, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Georgia. Let that sink in. So I'm like, oh God, I got to go. The sun is going down. So I called the home office, talked to one of my supervisors, told them what was happening. Make a long story short, they called a tow truck. I said, cool, it should be in about 30 minutes. I'm like, dang. So I'm going to miss church. My whole day messed up, plans, all this. It was inconvenience. But what was an inconvenience to me, y'all, ended up turning around to be a divine intervention. Let me tell you, I met my boy named Junior. Junior pulled up with the tow truck, put my car on the tow truck, and we started riding down the highway. I really at first didn't want to talk, and I was keeping to myself. I said, you can turn up the radio if you want to, but he said, I really don't listen to it like that. I said, all right. So we just started talking about family, where you're from, football, and how we grew up, girls we dated, and things of that nature. And all of that led to church. I think I had mentioned that I was a minister, and I do community outreach and help the homeless and things of that nature. And Junior had mentioned how, Gabriel, I don't go to church like that, but I do acknowledge God. And Junior was stating to me, he says that one of the reasons why I don't go to church is because when I see the people that I work with and I pick up their cars he said, Gabriel, I drive this truck everywhere around Chatsworth. I drive it everywhere. And he says the same people that go to church, they live a different life outside of church. That stuck with me. And he says, I don't want to be, going to church with people like that. He says, not only the other thing, he stated that and it stood out. And another big pivotal statement that he made was, he was like, I don't want to be a people that use God like a spare tire. He says, I know people that only use God when they get sick, when they need money. And he says, I don't want to be that person. I was like, wow, God, what are you doing? So I dealt with church first. And I took him to Hebrews 10:25, where the writer of Hebrews is talking about not to neglect or forsake the assembly of the believers, and how you should encourage and exhort one another because the time of Christ's return is drawing near. So I had to break down to Junior why it was important for us to go to church, regardless of if they are hypocrites and heathens in the church. And I said, do you go to the bank to get your money? I said, do you go to the grocery store? I said, you still do the things you need to do to take care of yourself. He says, yes. I said, there are hypocrites and heathens everywhere you go, in the mall, in the store, in the bank. I said, you got to eat. You need money. You go, right? He says, yeah. I said, that's the same. I said, the church is for people who don't have it right, not perfect people, who are coming to the church to be encouraged, to be uplifted, to grow closer to Christ. I said, that's what it's for. I says, even though I am a minister of the gospel, I says, Junior, I don't get it right all the time. I says, there is nobody up under the sun that has got anything right. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And the only person, Junior, who has never sinned is that of Jesus Christ. And I told him about the 40 days and the 40 nights where Jesus fasted and took him through that. But I had to explain to him the importance of going to church. So then I dealt with the whole reality of saying that he didn't want to be using God like a spare tire. I said, Junior, we can change that right now. I said, you don't have to use God as a spare tire. I said, God is looking for you to have a robust relationship with him. And I said, the same way that you have a relationship with your wife, I said, likewise, God is looking to have a relationship with you like that, but put him first. He's looking for you to communicate with him, to talk to him, to pray with him, to literally worship him. And I'm explaining this to Junior. And I said, Junior, what would you do? And how would you explain to your kids about the evil that's in this world and all the things that's going on? If they ask you about cancer and sickness, I said, what would be your explanation? And, he didn't explain it. So I had to explain to him how sin and evil came into this world. I had to explain to him, y'all, I'm really trying to cut this short because it's long, but it was just 90 miles. It was a long ride. I had to explain to him, on Judgment Day and in the second coming and on tribulation and the new heaven and the new earth and what God intended. I explained to him all of that. Y'all, can I tell you what ended up happening? We pull up, get back to my job. I felt led to pray. So I pray over Junior, and I pray one of the best prayers that I could ever pray: blessings, healing, favor, for God to speak to him, open up his eyes. Soon as I got home, probably about 15 minutes later, Junior, he calls me. He says, Gabriel, he says, you know how you said that your car stopped for a certain reason? I said, yeah. He says, the reason was for me. He says, I gave God my heart a long time ago when I was a kid, but I didn't give him my life. And he says, I want to give him my life. He says, you explain something to me, and he says, now I see it clearly. I said, Junior, let's do it right. Let's go to Romans 10, 9, and 10. Let's ask God for forgiveness. Y'all, I led him through Romans 10, 9, and 10. I led Junior through the prayer of salvation and led him to Jesus Christ. Y'all, my car got stopped in the middle of nowhere in Chatsworth, Georgia. Only because God providentially aligned me with one of his sons that he cared about so much to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. And from Chatsworth to Marietta, Georgia, an hour and some change, God used me to open up the eyes of somebody who was blind, but now they see. You never know why God will break down your car. You never know why God will put you in certain circumstances and for a minute inconvenience you, but ultimately it will be for intervention. Y'all, never take for granted the places where you go and where God puts you in, because God can send somebody by your way, and you can ultimately, through the power of the Holy Spirit, shift and change their entire life by sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. I wanted to share that with you tonight. God bless you.